I want to talk about this. DJs. We get rappers that come through here on a regular basis, and they always talk about DJs. DJs not breaking their records. And what I want to talk about is, should a DJ break records, or should he stay safe and play the hits? That's the thing. So a lot of people know, regular watchers and listeners of the program know that my background is in DJing. And I've seen DJs that do it all. And you have different types of DJs. You have DJs that break records. You have DJs that play it safe and play the hits. And you have DJs that blend, and you have DJs that scratch, and you have DJs that drop the record, say something, and just drop the record. So you have all different types of DJs. So I think that breaking a record depends on where you are at the moment. Now, New Year's Eve. New Year's Eve is coming up as we are recording this and streaming now. New Year's Eve is not the time to break a record. Not in my opinion. People are there to party. And could you slip in a new record? You could. But technically, to break that record, New Year's Eve might not be that time. Now, I know that's difficult for a lot of artists to hear me say. They'll probably say any time's a good time to break a record. And I'm an artist as well. So I'm going to disagree with that. I don't think New Year's Eve is that time. Now, with that being said, you can play new music using the sandwich philosophy. And I'll explain that to you in a minute. But what I want artists to understand, and this is going to be difficult. When you make a record, you put your time into it, you put your energy into it, and I understand that because I've done it. I do it. But at the same time, you have to look at this from the standpoint of the club goer, the party goer, the person that's in there, that's just in a club. They came to have fun. They usually want to hear songs that they know. They want to party. When their song comes on, they want to run to the dance floor. They want to drink. They want to do the popular dances. They come there for that part of the experience. A lot of times people don't come to the club because they want to hear songs that they never heard before. So you have to understand that. And a lot of artists don't want to hear that. They want every DJ to play their record, and they come to the DJ booth and they want you to throw their record on or plug my phone up. DJs hate that. DJs hate that because DJs like to control the vibe and the music. So if you give them a record that they never heard before, they're out of control because they've never heard the song. They don't know what it's going to do. They don't know where the breaks are. They don't know any of these things. And so you just come up and just, whatever. And so that's difficult. That's difficult for a DJ. And then on top of that, we don't really like requests because we want to control shit. We look at the crowd and we feel as though by looking at the crowd, we can judge what this crowd wants to hear. And if we play something that the crowd doesn't like, and let's say they start to sit down, we got to change the record, get the tempo up, do something different. And we do that with records that we already know, records that we practice, records that we know where the drops are, records that we know what the response is going to be, or we think we know what the response is going to be. So when you give us a new record, we don't know. And a DJ needs to know the record. So that's very important. Now, usually, my background in a record store, we would listen to records that we never heard before, and we would give it the ear test. And this test can last about 10 seconds. 10 seconds, usually a DJ can tell whether he likes a record or not. And when I was in a record store, we would put the needle on the record, boom. Listen, okay. Skip it a little bit, okay. And you even know whether it's hot or whether it's not. Now, you can do that. Now, some records you couldn't do that with. Now, some records you would think are not going to be a hit, but people end up liking it for whatever reason. Now, so we can be wrong about records. So I don't want to say that we can't be wrong, because I've been wrong about records that I thought were going to hit that didn't hit, and vice versa. But if a DJ likes the beat of your song, they can break the record. And I alluded to it earlier, and they can do that by the sandwich philosophy or the sandwich technique. And it's just like it sounds. A sandwich, you take two pieces of bread and you put something in the middle. Peanut butter and jelly, ham, cheese, salami, hamburger, whatever. So it's the same philosophy with sandwiching a record. You take a record that's a hit that the people know, and you play that record, and then you sandwich it in between the new record, and you play just enough of the record to the point where they're like, okay, they can get into it, and then you play it right behind a record that is a hit that they know. And you do that consistently. Now, this is if you're in a club, or if you're playing on the radio, you can do that as well. You do that consistently for 4 times. So if you play once a week, do it for 4 weeks. If you play every day, do it for the whole week, etc. If you do that, if the record is hot, you can stretch it out and play a little bit more of the record. So the first time you play the record, you may play it from the beginning, the hook, play the first verse to the next hook, and then bring in the next hit. Now, after a while, you can stretch it out, and you can kind of feel it out and see what happens. You can do that. But let's keep in mind that if you're in a party, you can't always do that. You have to play records. You got to read your crowd. If you got a lot of girls, they're gonna want to hear the hits. They're gonna want to hear R&B or whatever. And so you have to play to your crowd. And a lot of times, artists don't want to hear that, but that's what you have to do. Now, some DJs don't want to do that. They feel as though it is the job of the artist to make their record to the point where they want to play it. So they have to go out and do the legwork and promote the record, because it is a job for a DJ to break records. Now, some people think it's your job. But when I say it's a job, I mean it takes effort. It takes time, and it takes you caring about the record. And some DJs feel like they're not a record promoter. They're just supposed to play the records that are hits. And I think it depends on where you play at on a card. Usually a DJ playing earlier will play older songs. And then as the night progresses, the DJ that's playing in the prime slot will play the hit records, right? 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock is your peak hours, at least here on the East Coast in the club. That's not the time where you're going to hear new records in a commercial party. It's just not going to happen. So the balance is whose job is it to promote the record? It is the record company or the artist's job to promote the record. The DJ, it's not his job to promote the record. Now, if we hear a record that we like and we take a personal interest in it, or there's some type of a business interest in it, the DJ may break your record. But they're not going to consistently just break new records just because they like your song. It's too much music. There's too much of a flood of music for them to even do that. So there has to be some type of incentive. The DJ has to personally have a relationship with you. They'll do that from time to time, or for people that they don't know. But it's not necessarily every DJ's job to break your record. Okay? So a lot of people have that misconception. A lot of people don't want to hear that. But I want to hear your thoughts, DJs. Do you feel that you have to break records? Or do you just want to play safe and play the hits? Or is it a mix of the two? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, at The Diamond K Show. I know that recording artists are not going to be feeling that. They are not going to be feeling that. But I needed to say that. And we've had a lot of artists come through here and talk about that and how they feel that DJs aren't good anymore because they don't break records. So, we got that out there.